Oh man, can you believe that? Like one of the members of Insect is like Lance Bass, voices Sephiroth in Final Fantasy Advent Children, and fans got so mad. So who's your favourite giant monster, Adam?
You.
I'm not sure whether to take that as a compliment. Given that he's due to square off with Godzilla in his next cinematic outing, the fact that King Kong didn't turn up in Godzilla King of Monsters is kind of egregious, especially when you consider that the whole premise of that film is that every monster in the world converges on one location and tries to fight our favourite atomic lizard.
So you're saying that Kong and Godzilla are both in the same universe then?
They are, yes. So the most recent cinematic outings of both King Kong and Godzilla exist in something known as Legendary's MonsterVerse, which is just the name for the cinematic universe they exist in. And the MonsterVerse is one of my favourite cinematic universes because it's the only one that's not a huge embarrassing failure besides the MCU. And who'd have thunk it, eh? Like the only good cinematic universe to like squeak by that's not the MCU is the MonsterVerse and the Fast and Fury-verse, which cracks me up so much.
Fast and Furious just needs to end.
But the Fast and Fury-verse, man, how can you not like that? It's so good.
I do love it. It's just it's run its course now.
But would you imagine? It's like I think we did an entire video about the statistics of how stupid the Fast and Fury-verse is, just in terms of this started with like Vin Diesel and Michelle Rodriguez literally stealing VHS players. And the final film in the series so far is Idris Elba with superpowers, elbow dropping the Rock from space. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of just got out of hand.
Yeah, what a natural progression for that series of film. Anyway, let's talk more about the MonsterVerse.
In this series then, giant monsters exist and we just accept it?
Yes, so like if you're not familiar with the MonsterVerse at all, the premise is, giant monsters just exist and have done for millions of years on Earth, and they are said to be a natural part of the Earth's ecosystem. For example, everyone's favourite happy-go-lucky giant atomic lizard, Godzilla, is said to be the last of his kind, an ancient super species that kept all the other giant monsters or titans or kaijus, if you prefer, in check. And I've got to say, I'm all on board with the idea of dad-bodzilla being the one who keeps the other titans in check. Because big fat, just lumbering asshole Godzilla is so good in that movie series. It's awesome.
I just want to see him go into like a betting shop and just coming out of those little pens.
You could see him doing it, because he's just got the dad gut. He's got it, and he's large, he's in charge, he's big and he knows it. And he's 400 tons of fun. And just the idea that, what monster could possibly be in charge of all the other monsters? The one who looks most like a dad. And I like that thing right at the end of the film where like Godzilla does his roar and like every other monster just like bows in fealty to him. And it reminds me a lot of like when you get to that moment when you think, yeah, I'm a bit bigger than my dad. And you think you can cheek them off a bit more, and then your dad does the step, and they step forward, and you go, oh! And it's like, oh, damn it, that's Godzilla.
He's ready for a round.
He goes, yeah. I forget which one of my friends said it now, though. It's like, but no matter how old your dad gets, you know they could drop you in one. It's just, that's about it. It's like Godzilla. It doesn't matter how big and lumbering he might appear, he can still drop you if he had given the chance.
Because I watched a video the other day of Mike Tyson, only from last week. I mean, he must be late 50s now.
Easy, yeah.
And he was throwing punches, and I was like, his son is still in check.
It's like nobody argues with him. I love that. Have you seen the thing about Mike Tyson now? He's like a vegan.
Yeah.
And they asked him, why? Because I couldn't eat anything that has a mother. Which is the same reasoning I think Mr. Rogers used to use. And it's like, compare that to 30 years ago when he's like, I will eat your children in an interview. So the premise of the MonsterVerse is a little bit complicated, so a simplified version of it is that giant monsters exist and they all listen to Godzilla. The exceptions to this being King Kong and King Ghidorah.
So why doesn't King Ghidorah listen to Godzilla?
Because he's a three-headed space dragon and he's from another planet. Yeah, so in addition to giant monsters existing, aliens also exist, and they kind of, just gloss over it in the film. It's like, wait a minute, King Ghidorah is just an alien? He's an alien with three heads, and he fires lightning bolts from his eyeballs. But anyway, that's why King Ghidorah doesn't listen. And in fact, the backstory of King Ghidorah in the MonsterVerse is that he supplants Godzilla as the Alpha Titan, and is able to bend other Titans to his will simply by roaring. So I insert the clip of him roaring, in that really, really overt, just Zack Snyder-esque shot of King Ghidorah roaring on a mountain with just a Christian cross in front of him to say, this is your new god. It's like, that's like film student level of symbolism right there, isn't it? Just a giant monster screaming on a mountain with a Christian cross in front. It's like, you got a new king. It's like, shut up. Movie makers, just stop doing that shit. Like, RoboCop did it best. RoboCop did Jesus symbolism better. Stop trying. Did you not know that? God, like, RoboCop's got a lot of like Jesus symbolism in it, including a part at the end of the film where he walks on water and shoots someone in the face. Anyway.
So Ghidorah roars and other monsters just listen to him?
Yes, except for Godzilla and, oddly enough, King Kong. Because like fans of the series may wonder, well, the whole point of that movie is that King Ghidorah roars and that every other monster converges on his location to fight Godzilla on his behalf. Why doesn't King Kong turn up? And the answer to that question is because King Kong and Godzilla are going to fight in their own movie this year, I think. But there's an in-canon explanation as well. The in-canon explanation is that King Kong doesn't listen.
Yeah.
And there is a novelization of Godzilla King of Monsters which discusses what happens on Skull Island when King Ghidorah roars and awakens and summons the other Titans. And King Kong hears the roar and then actively chooses to ignore it because he doesn't give a fuck what happens in the world as long as the people of Skull Island are safe. And my favourite little detail revealed in that book is that when King Ghidorah roars, King Kong gets really pissed off because it wakes up all the skull crawlers. And then he has to go around Skull Island beating the shit out of the skull crawlers because he's really annoyed. It's like, no, you're not allowed to escape the island. I'm king here. Fuck you.
Fucking hell.
It's just so good that King Kong just spends the entire runtime of Godzilla King of Monsters like off screen, just doing these Harambe Revenger combos to skull crawlers.
I love it. Good. I love it after every like crush that he does. He just points to the sky for Harambe.
Yeah, you know what he does. Harambe's just there, just observing. Like, that's it, King Kong. You're doing us all proud. Kong Skull Island is so good, just because of like the characterization they add to King Kong.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Godzilla, they add a little bit to it, and like they show there's a little bit of humanity, and like you can see his eyes when he's in pain, or when he's like, he's fighting the Mutos at the end of his movie, and you see, it's like, oh no, I feel really bad for him. Like, there's just so much humanity in Kong, and I think that was a deliberate decision by like, the people making Skull Island. Like, we wanted to give him, one, a very noble profile, and also a distinctive silhouette, so you would see him as a god.
Yeah.
We also wanted to give like this humanity in his face and the way that he moves. Like when he grabs like the helicopter and he hurts his hand and he gets really mad about it. It's like, oh! Or the bit where he's fighting the skullcrawler right at the very end, and the skullcrawler turns around and slaps him in the face with a tail. Just goes like the insults, like, and you see him get annoyed. It's like, oh no, King Kong, you got him. So good.
Oh.
The skullcrawler with the insult slap. It's so good.
Just the last one, the last remaining one, just a little like, you killed all my friends, here's a little bitch slap.
That's what he does, He turns around like to go eat like Tom Hiddleston, and as it turns around, you can distinctly see it slap King Kong with its tail, just for like, because fuck you. And then he comes in with just like, my favourite moment, I think, of the 2010s. And that's when you just see King Kong just in the background of a shot with a giant rock just coming in out of nowhere. I was in the cinema. I watched that in the cinema. Like, I think like day one it came out.
Yeah.
And when that happened, I marked the fuck out. It's like, oh no, what's King Kong gonna do? And you just hear this roar and just see this gorilla. I'm honestly surprised at that moment King Kong didn't do a cargo hold into down B combo and just dunk the skullcrawler back into hell. It's so hype. So fucking hype.
So Ghidorah, who's this giant space asshole.
Yeah, three-headed space dragon asshole, to give him his full title.
Like, how come his roar doesn't work on King Kong and Godzilla then?
Well, Godzilla, it doesn't work on him because he's an alpha titan. And you know what? Godzilla don't need to listen to anybody. But for King Kong, there's like only theories about it proposed by characters in the novels and the comic books. And one is that Kong is one of the few titans who exclusively protects humanity instead of just existing alongside it and kind of just like not caring. In the movies, Kong actively goes out of his way to help people just for some inexplicable reason. It's believed that like his specific species of titan is like, a protector of humanity. Yeah. And that's why he doesn't listen to Ghidorah, because Ghidorah wants him to destroy the world and Kong's not about that life. And that's why he spends the entire runtime of King of Monsters just off screen, just elbow dropping skull crawlers to death. I just think it's really good. Did you watch that film at all?
I've seen Skull Island, yeah.
Did you watch King of Monsters?
No.
Okay, well they have a bit right at the very end where they have like all these news headlines just about, what's happening in the world after all these giant monsters appeared. And there's like one saying, oh yeah, the Titans are like, bringing life back to the coral reefs, or that the shit they leave behind makes like forests regrow.
Yeah.
And then they have another one, and it just says, for some inexplicable reason, every monster in the world is just converging on Skull Island. And it's just like, oh no, they're all going there. Like, do you know what's happening there? That's a Royal Rumble's happening. Oh. Like someone out there, like, MonsterVerse Vince McMahon has booked a match and a half because he's just got Kong versus Godzilla, King versus a god, and it's going to happen.
I can just imagine that video of Vince McMahon walking out with the power stride.
Yeah.
Just that with Ghidorah's 3 heads. Just walking out.
That's what Ghidorah basically do. He was booking matches, wasn't he? He's just throwing jobbers at Godzilla to, get him some heat for the next match. That's what it is.
Title match.
That's what the MonsterVerse is. It's like they're trying to give heat to Godzilla, so, his fight with King Kong's more dramatic.
King Kong is just Brock Lesnar. He just turns up when he wants.
Oh man, he's so fucking good. Like, as well, they've got the same, fight body shape.
Yep.
It's like, Brock Lesnar is just... Can we Photoshop that? Can we Photoshop, get a Royal Rumble poster? Would it be a Royal Rumble?
Yeah.
Like, what would it be? 'Cause it's one-on-one, isn't it? It'd be...
One-on-one. It'll just be like a title match. Steel cage.
It would have to... Okay, so let's get a poster. So, steel cage match between Godzilla and King Kong, but King Kong is just on Brock Lesnar's body. Just King Kong's head on Brock Lesnar's body. Who would Godzilla be in the wrestling world?
I imagine like the Big Show, because he's got the dad-bod.
Okay, so we do that. So and then we've got Big Show with Godzilla's head on it, and that's the title match. That's what the poster for King Kong versus Godzilla should just be. Just this giant fucking thing. I still can't believe you've not seen King of the Monsters. It's really fucking good.
I might have to.
I recommend watching it, if only so you can watch the very final bit. And I think we mentioned this in another video that the sound quality was really bad, so it never got uploaded. So I'm going to do it again. And it is the fact that King of Monsters stole its ending from Super Metroid. And have you played Super Metroid at all?
Years ago.
Yeah. Okay, well I'm going to put this out there. They stole the ending because I'm going to describe to you the ending now of King of the Monsters, and it is... do you mind spoilers?
No, go on.
Well, the ending is that Godzilla gets his shit wrecked by King Ghidorah and is lying on the floor, dead as fuck. And then who comes in for the assist but the Queen of the Monsters, Mothra, who stands on top of Godzilla and protects him and flies towards Ghidorah to try and take him out, at which point Ghidorah fires a beam of energy that makes Mothra explode, and then the energy of Mothra falls down and goes into Godzilla. And then Godzilla absorbs that power and then fires a giant big laser that completely obliterates Ghidorah. Do you remember the ending of Super Metroid? Well, the ending of Super Metroid is that Samus Aran is fighting the Mother Brain, which is a giant dragon-looking monster that fires a huge beam of energy at them and has them down on the floor, injured. At which point, a little helper thing comes in, which is the Metroid, which sits on top of Samus and protects her, and then flies at Mother Brain, only to be hit by a giant laser attack, causing it to explode, at which point all of its energy then falls into Samus Aran, who then gets a new power, which she uses to destroy Mother Brain.
It is literally the same.
They've stolen it. They fucking stole the moment. I know they did. And if they didn't, it's too close to be a coincidence, so someone somewhere had played that game and had it in the back of their mind when they were directing that scene.
Yeah.
From that description, it's exactly the fucking same, isn't it?
I want to try. I want to see them both now. Just
I'm hoping that whoever edits this one can edit those two things behind back to back to show how fucking similar they are.
Yeah.
And do you know what annoys me? They ruin the moment because they get all the timing wrong. Because rather than cutting straight to Godzilla, standing up, because Super Metroid, that moment was one of my favourites in gaming. Because what happens is the music kicks in, and Samus just stands up glowing with rainbow sex energy, and then it just comes up, hyper beam, and that's it. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla goes down, Mothra explodes, all the energy goes into him, Godzilla starts glowing with sex energy, and then they cut to Millie Bobby Brown and some shit actors. So instead of just having the moment of Godzilla standing up, no, they cut away, and then he walks off camera, and it's oh God, you ruined the moment by cutting away to the completely inconsequential human characters. Oh!
It just reminds me of touching on wrestling again, when AJ Styles made his debut in the Royal Rumble. It was literally like, he's going to be like, this is going to be the moment of the year.
Okay.
AJ Styles finally gets WWE, and when it was like his music came on, it just filmed Roman Reigns looking confused. Just like
it's completely ruined the moment.
Yeah. And you just hear the crowd cheering as Roman Reigns looks more confused, and then it just, oh, here's AJ Styles.
Oh god, it's like, I love King of the Monsters, but they ruined that moment because they have it. And I went, because I was in the cinema again, like day one. I went, this is just Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Like, they're ripping off Super Metroid. And I showed my friend the clip on YouTube. Like, here's the ending of Super Metroid. It's the same. They just ripped it off, and it's not as good. It's like, no, do it. Anyway, yeah, I want someone to answer for that. I'm calling whoever I'm calling someone out, but I don't know who.